I am so excited about today's episode. I have Amanda Petroselli. Petroselli. I should know how to do that. I'm
Yes.
Italian with Felisa, right? I should use my hands too,
Yes, it helps.
right? Oh, God. I'm so excited to introduce Amanda. She is the founder and CEO of Felici Fitness. She's a highly accomplished fitness professional with a bachelor's degree in psychology and a minor in biology, with a concentration in health, counseling, and neuroscience. She has a passion for helping individuals achieve their health and fitness goals. She offers a wide range of services through Felici Fitness, including in-person training, virtual training, group training, and online coaching. Her background in psychology and biology gives her a unique perspective on how the mind and body are interconnected, allowing her to provide comprehensive and effective fitness solutions. With over 12 years of experience, Amanda is able to apply her wealth of knowledge to a range of clientele, ranging from beginners to former D1 athletes. When she's not training or coaching, you can find her working out in her gym, hanging out with her husband, or spending time with her family. And pretty soon, you can find her spending time with her new baby. Welcome, Amanda. I'm so excited to talk to you.
I'm
Um,
so excited.
I worked with Amanda, God, it's got to be 2 years ago now.
Yes. Yeah, I was just thinking.
And I had her come into my house at 6:30 in the morning to wake my ass up to work out. So, Amanda, tell our listeners a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are.
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much, Francine. You're a ray of sunshine, and every time I see you, I'm just like instantly happy.
Oh, I love
But
that. Thank you.
yeah, so I mean, my journey, it was a lot of hiccups, a lot of roller coasters, lots of ups and downs. But the common denominator was I always followed my passion for helping people. So I started in the fitness industry as soon as I graduated college, where you could see I studied psychology and biology. I was pre-med technically prior. And then I was like, nope, organic chemistry, not my thing. Hate chemistry, love people and learning about people. So I shifted, graduated college, and then there were no jobs. It was like 2012 where everyone was having a tough time finding jobs. I worked the front desk at a gym and realized that I just loved it. I loved seeing people come in, have a great workout because I was always passionate about fitness. I was a former soccer athlete. So from there, I worked my way up to a general manager at Boston Sports Clubs and then realized that operations and sales, that wasn't really my thing. I wasn't helping people. My passion is to help people feel good from the inside out. As cheesy as it sounds, it's just the truth.
Right. Yeah.
So I transitioned into personal training, worked at various Boston sports clubs. The last Boston sports clubs I worked at was in Back Bay at the Prudential. And then, as we all know, 2020 happened. We'll just say it happened.
What happened in 2020?
You know what? I'm not sure. So that happened, and I literally vividly remember Maurizio picked me up from work. We lived in Winthrop at the time. I got in my car with him, and we were on a conference call, and the whole company was like, "We are firing every single person in this whole company right now." And like tears came out of my face because first and foremost, like I knew it wasn't like a performance thing. I wasn't getting
Right.
fired, I didn't do anything wrong. So I was like, and then he's like, he looked at me, goes, "You're gonna be just fine." And I just looked at him and I was like, I stood up a little straighter and I was like, "You're right." And from that moment on, that was March 20th. I want to say it was like my sister's birthday, March 20th or 17th, 2020. And then I literally flowed in like ups and downs, trying to figure out virtual training, trying to figure out in-person training, reaching out to all my clients that I used to have. I used to travel in my car to people in fields and train them. And then we ended up building a whole commercial gym in my house because there was no other way to do it.
Right.
So definitely a lot of ups and downs, but again, the same thing. I was so happy. I just wanted to help people work out and achieve their goals.
I love that. And I love what you said about helping people from the inside out, right? I'm a
Hmm.
mindset coach. That is the inside, right? Like, I don't,
Exactly.
people talk about goals. Yeah, we can set goals, but if you're not achieving them, we got to look at what's inside. So
Yep.
take us through, like, how does that work with what you do for clients? Because it's not just about personal training, what you do with your clients. So how
No.
do you bring that inside out piece so that they can achieve their goals?
So that's a really good question. And I would say it's very different from person to person. As you know, like everyone is receptive to different things and are super open at the beginning. Some people are like, I am 17 walls up. Don't talk to me. I just want to lose weight. So basically, what I do for every single client that's the same is just build a really good rapport and relationship. Like I make sure that they trust me because listen, whatever your goal is, I want you to achieve it just as much as you do. And I make them feel very comfortable, know that no matter what, like they're in a safe space, whether I train them virtually, whether it's an online client or they're training with me in person. So I build up that rapport. I understand where like the insecurities might be coming from. And sometimes it takes one session, sometimes it takes 5 or 10, and they all of a sudden come to you and they're like, this is the real issue. And then we finally break through because I feel like for what I do, it's already a vulnerable thing to work out and to like expose like things that you're not good at, or like, maybe you need to lose weight and that's okay. Like we've all been there. So I would say really building that rapport and making sure that my clients really trust me and they feel comfortable and some there's a lot of crying, there's a lot of laughing, and there's a lot of angry things and there's a lot of venting, but it really boils down to making sure that we build a rapport so they know that they can open up to me, and then we take it like, oh, that's why you had that situation happen to you back then. Let's talk about it while we work out and create a plan that you're going to be consistent with, that you can achieve your goals with.
Yeah, I love that. I think when we worked out, I don't know that there was any crying, but there were a few F-bombs, I can guarantee
Of
that, and
course.
lots of laughs at 6:30 in the morning, right?
Yes.
So I think I'm sure I shared this with you, but probably a lot of the listeners don't know. I used to weigh about 300 pounds. I lost
Yep.
over 100 pounds 30 years ago. And it's a struggle every single day. And, thank you, menopause. It doesn't make it much
Mhm.
easier, right?
Mhm.
So I know one of the things that you're not a fan of is fad diets. And I don't believe diets at all work. I swear, anytime
Mhm.
I go on a diet, I gain weight, right?
Yep.
So let's talk about that a little bit,
Let's
because
talk
for
about it.
me, even though for me, it's about health, right? Like before
Mhm.
we got on here, I shared with Amanda, I had my hip replaced in October. I'm having my knee replaced in this October, right? So for me, losing, and I hate even saying losing because when you lose, you want to find something, right? Reducing the weight
Mhm.
in my body is about feeling good. It's about health so that my
Mhm.
body works the way that
Yep.
it is. But oftentimes it's about losing weight. I want to lose weight. And it sometimes, no matter how much weight you've lost, people still think they're fat, they're whatever, right? So let's
Yes.
peel that back because I don't know that we're going to have enough time for all this, but it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
hefty conversation.
I mean, I would say the majority of my clientele, about 80% women, and I'd say about 50% of them have some type of body dysmorphia, and obviously not diagnosed, but like we all have our things. Like I have
Right.
my issues where I used to be super overweight and struggled with eating disorders for the majority of my life. And getting into pregnancy, we'll talk about that after, but getting into pregnancy was like, woo, what are we doing here? But it's tough because like we look at ourselves in the mirror, as well as I do, and you're like, oh my God, like, is that me? Do I look like that? And I think that's a common struggle with a lot of women. And then on top of that, that's where we get the fad diets, especially in your generation, my generation. Now the younger generation is facing like Ozempic and Wegovy and these short, quick fixes without delving into what's the actual issue. Why
Right.
are you doing that? And just as much as I know, you have to fix what's going on inside before you can actually fix what's going on outside of you. And I think bad diets are one of the worst things that has ever happened because women in general are so scrutinized and they're like, here, take this pill. You remember the covers? I don't even go to the grocery store anymore because I use Instacart. But like the magazines are like, lose 10 pounds in 3 days. And you're
Right.
like, sign me up.
Right.
And then you're
Yep.
like, wait. that's not good. So I don't know if I really answered your question, but I think I touched on a couple of the
Well,
topics.
yeah, I mean, when I lost my weight, again, it was almost 30 years ago, fen was really big, right? I don't know if
Oh
you,
my
right? And
gosh.
I would remember going out to lunch with a coworker that was taking fen, and she would order chicken
God.
fingers and I would order a salad. But she would only have like one or two chicken fingers, right? And I would
Right.
say to her, but when you're off the fen, you're still ordering the chicken fingers,
Correct.
right? So, and she didn't, and she's passed. She's not even with us anymore. I don't know if it had
Oh.
anything to do with taking that, but I know
Mm-hmm.
she passed away a few years ago. But um, I had a really interesting, I've struggled with weight my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a functional doctor. And I love my primary care, but I wanted to get into like the hormone, like I am in menopause and the
Yes.
hormones are definitely affecting, like it doesn't matter what I do now, my body
Yes.
isn't doing what I would like it to
Exactly.
do.
Right.
So I said to her, I had COVID back in March and I was seeing her shortly after that. And what happened, and I've always known that my brain had these obsessive thoughts around food.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was doing literally nothing during COVID and all I was doing was thinking about what I was eating next, I was like,
Yep.
what the actual fuck is happening? Right?
Exactly.
Because if
Yep.
I ate every time I thought, I'd be back to 500
Of
pounds,
course.
right? So
Yes.
when I was talking to her, and I didn't realize it at the time, but the doctor is an expert in obesity.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Oh, you have, I forget what it's like, obsessive thoughts or right,
Obsessive compulsive. Yeah.
hedonistic thoughts." And I was like, "Oh, that's a thing." Like I just think something's wrong with me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "Oh, okay." So we talked about trying, so my primary gave me one of the shots last year. It didn't do anything for me. So we
Mm-hmm.
talked about doing another, she was willing to try a shot. And with insurance, it was going to cost me $225 a month. And I was like,
Of
I don't want
course.
it that bad. Right. I was
No.
like, and I know I'm good at maintaining the weight. I just want to drop
Mm-hmm.
the last 20 pounds and then
Yep.
maintain it. But I'm like, is it really worth it to? And then I read some of the side effects and I was like, oh, I don't know that I want to do that. Right. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm going to go back to tracking what I eat and be aware of things and doing
Yep.
the things that, and even the tracking, I started becoming obsessive about that. It's a game. And I was like,
It's you're
this is
switching one compulsion with
right. I
another.
was like, I
I
don't actually
know.
think this is healthy.
No, and it's something that, and so there's, I can't tell you the exact like way to like cut that because I don't think it's just like one strict thing because there
Right.
isn't, right?
Yeah.
But I have
But
so many
I think
clients
me being
being
aware of
aware.
it
Yes,
is a huge, right? Like, I'm like, I know
exactly.
this isn't healthy, so I need to
You're like,
figure out.
let's obsess about the macros. Let's obsess about the. It's
Right.
you're just like trading one thing off for another. I have a lot of clients that suffered from, I would not alcoholism, but like drink heavily and then they stop drinking. They're like, and I'm really gonna in tune on this macros. Amanda, what are my macros? What am I gonna do here? And this and that. And it's like, let's take a deep breath. Let's try to figure out why we're getting obsessive about it and peel it back. And for someone like you, I would say probably let's not track food, but be more mindful of
Right.
it and then see. But again, it's like you just
And
do
I
one of
think
these things in your head.
And I think that kind of goes back to the starting from the inside out. Like for me, it's the
Hmm.
awareness of it, right?
Yes.
Like, oh, I'm reaching for food. Are you hungry?
Yes.
Right. And oftentimes, I mean, when I weighed 300 pounds, I didn't have that self-awareness,
Hmm.
obviously, right? I can
Yep.
still picture myself eating my pound of M&Ms and my bag of buttered popcorn, right? Oh, it was
God,
like the best.
M&M's really?
Oh, M&Ms and popcorn? Absolutely. Chocolate and salt?
I'm trying to think. I'm a Reese's gal. I can see that though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, really good. But I think awareness, right? Like, and
Hmm.
eat when I lost the 100 pounds, it was eat the food. Don't
Yeah.
depress, like, all right, so maybe I didn't have a Chips Ahoy, I had a snack well, or I had
Yeah.
alternatives. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you say to people? Because I think most people that struggle with weight have the oh, I'm doing really good, I fall off. I do really good, I fall off, right?
Hmm.
So what would you say to those people that might feel like, though, why should I even bother? Like, I was on a group years ago and the woman like ate pizza one day and she's like, I should just end the diet. And I was like, or you just have a salad today.
See, like we're laughing about it because it's funny, but it's true.
It's true, right? Yeah.
That's such a great question because I have probably like a handful of clients off the top of my head that like to do this whole self-sabotage where they're like, everything was great, Amanda, this week. Like I stuck to, my normal routine and blah blah blah. Friday I had a drink that turned into pasta, that turned into the tiramisu, that turned into eating all, and I'm like, okay, let's reel that back in. Let talk to me about it. So for people that have that like let's just throw it away type of attitude when they have one hiccup, it's literally just sitting down and talking through every single thing that they went through in their head. And I know that sounds tedious, but sometimes people just need to talk it out and be like,
Right.
oh, like I didn't need to just eat like crap the next day. I could have just had my normal routine, but I just felt like I just threw it all away with that
Right.
bowl of pasta and wine that I had.
And
And that's what I would do.
would you say have the wine, have the pasta, just get back, right? Like still live your
Yes.
life, right?
Yes, and a lot of people think that an online coach or a personal trainer is gonna say, "You're never allowed to eat anything bad," but that's not, unless you're, like, doing, like, bodybuilding competitions like I used to do, you
Sure.
can enjoy your life, like, go out, have your dinner. I always tell my clients, depending on where we start, I like to have them at least 1 night a week where they're like, "I'm gonna eat what I want," and that's fine. Sometimes it increases, but I want them to start at 1, then maybe 2, and then they're like, "I don't really need to eat like this, like, I just kinda eat healthy." But it's tough to not wanna throw it all away after one meal, and it's something that needs consistent work on, and maybe you fail one time, then you just bounce back up, you pivot, and you just continue, but it's very important to be as balanced as possible. I think in life, we're all trying to be balanced in everything, right?
Right. All zenny and stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk a little bit more about the fad diets. We talked about that. Why do you think people get so sucked into that lose 10 pounds in 3 days and here's the magic pill and all the
Mhm.
things? And why are they so bad for us? Are there any that are good? And
Instant gratification. We live in a time where we can get anything we want pretty quickly. I just told you I use Instacart. I don't
yeah,
have to go down the street. There's like 3 grocery stores near me. Do I go? No, but I can just go on my phone and be like, "All right, Bob's shopping for me now. This is great. I'm gonna get it in like an hour." Right? Instantly gratification.
right,
It's just that, and I think the generations like mine and just like younger, that's what they want. They want it to be better now, lose the weight quicker, and it people get sucked into that. They're like, "Oh my god, I can lose 10 pounds if I just take this pill. Oh my god, I can lose 10 pounds if I just eat." I don't know if you remember the cabbage soup diet.
oh
It was
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Or I can lose 10 pounds if I just eat meat, or if I cut. It's it's intriguing. Like we all want something done quickly. Like we go get our hair done, we feel amazing after. That's exactly what I want it to look like. We can't do that with our health. Our health is a long time journey that we need to always put work in, just as much as your mental health, right? So
right,
I think we get sucked in, and I think different personalities, obviously, that we don't, you know, can get more prone to doing that, like more of like an addictive personality. Like, oh yes, like I'm gonna take. I used to take hydroxycut, which is literally illegal now, banned. That and ephedra. I don't know
mm,
why I thought all like your friend. I didn't know why these were like in my head. This
right,
is a great idea. This is wonderful. It's
yeah,
not, but it just goes with. I think we just can get everything at our fingertips so easily right now. Especially that's why they're so appealing. Like, yeah, I want to lose 10 pounds in 5 minutes. Great. You can't do that. And you can't do that in a healthy way. And your second question, is there anything that's healthy? In my personal opinion, no, I don't think any fad diet is healthy unless actually, no, unless not a fad diet, but, like, if your doctor's like, "Hey, I need you to go on, like, an anti-inflammatory diet, like, immediately for health concerns,"
yeah.
that's different. But as far as, like, the normal
But
person
that's
that
not
wants
really a
to.
fad diet, right? Would you call that feels to me, because we talked about this before we got on, that I've really been trying to embrace
Right.
the anti-inflammatory. To me, that feels more like a lifestyle
It
than a
is, but
diet.
people
Yeah.
will use it as a fad. They're like, "Oh, Francine just lost 5 pounds, and this is what she was eating," and then that's what someone wants to do.
So then they're
So
gonna, okay. Yeah.
right, so no, what you're doing absolutely is not a
Right.
fad diet, but like keto diet was really huge, like what, a couple of
Right.
years ago, and all my clients like, you need to put me on this. Barbara lost 27 pounds in a month, and I'm like, you don't need to go on that because a ketogenic diet is when your body's in ketosis, which is when your body breaks down fat for fuel, which you actually have to pee on a stick and see if there's ketones in your urine to even see if that is
If it's
possible. So,
working. Yeah.
but no, I don't think fad diets are ever a good thing.
So your suggestion is just eat healthy and eat balanced,
Yeah, isn't that just so easy?
right?
If everyone did that, we wouldn't have such a crisis in this country.
Right. So let's talk a little bit. Let's dig into that a little
Yes.
bit, right? Like the difference in the food in this country and in other countries. And I know you've spent quite a bit of time in Italy, right? And I
Hmm.
don't know, other countries maybe, but like why is it different? What is so different and why?
So in this country, uh, they let you eat poison essentially. And I'm being very dramatic when I say that because not
Yeah.
everything is poison, but they just don't regulate things like they do in other countries. Like for instance, in Italy, they don't make fake meat. It's not a thing anymore. They don't put sulfates in their wine. Everything that you eat there is fresh that they got that day. And they pride themselves on it. That's why when you go to Italy, everyone's like, "Oh my god, the food's so great. I don't have a stomach ache. I lost 12 pounds." And you're like, "What?" It's because they don't put those same chemicals that they do in this country. And then you look here, right? You look at like I think it was like wheat thins are illegal in many countries. It's just like something random. Triscuits, Cheez Its, all these things that are snacks that we grew up eating, which I love Cheez Its, so don't get me
I'm like,
wrong.
I have wheat thins in my cabinet now, right?
Yeah,
Wow.
it could be Triscuits. We can double check on that.
Okay.
But they just put these chemicals in it. And if you want my, like, people will say conspiracy theorists. I don't like to say that, but like, I think it's all intertwined with the pharmaceuticals in this country, which I know might be like a hot button topic for
Right,
some
right.
people. But I think the unhealthier we are, the more money that pharmaceutical companies make. And then
Yeah.
that's just how I feel things are going. But just as an example, every time I go to Italy, literally I stay the minimum I've ever stayed was 2 weeks. I come back and my stomach can't digest the same foods I eat. And the same foods I eat meaning eggs.
Yeah.
um, I eat Ezekiel bread, nuts, vegetables, pasta, rice. The normal foods that I eat, I cannot digest properly. And when I tell you the last time I was there for a month, it was my wedding. I came home and my stomach didn't feel good until almost Halloween. So I was there until the end of July, and my
Wow.
stomach hurt after everything that I ate, no matter what it was. I could have eaten a piece of cake or I could have eaten the most healthiest meal you could think of. And I was so sick. I also stopped drinking water out of bottles. I don't know if you saw that. I posted about that. I can't eat anything that comes out of plastic because I can taste the plastic now.
Yes.
This is pre-pregnancy
I
too.
was gonna say, is this pregnancy related?
No, no, no. Like literally, Maurizio just went to go pick up. I get bottles of Aquapana and bottles of excuse me, Pellegrino in glass bottles shipped to me every single month because I can't have bottles of water because there's so many
Wow.
chemicals in it. Sorry.
Yeah, I have a filter. We got a filter a few years ago because I was like,
It's
what?
you have to.
Why am I buying these bottles all the time? And yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
it's so bad. Like Maurizio's like, you really can't. He came home, he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, it has to be out of glass. Like I can literally taste it." But I just think, and then in other countries we went to France, Netherlands. I never had those issues, and I also noticed that without trying, I would lose like 5 pounds while I'm literally
wow.
in another country because of the inflammation in the food and the carcinogens that they put in it, the inflammatory ingredients. There's so much gums in our food that we don't
Yeah.
think of.
It's fascinating because I have really 90% of, I'm not going to say I'm 100% because I don't know that I'll ever be 100%,
Mhm.
but I've really cut out gluten and dairy in order to help with the inflammation in my body, with the
Yep.
arthritis and the hip and the knee and everything. And last week I was out and I had a cocktail, which I do think the cocktail piece, it like puts you on that train of, yeah, sure. So somebody said, you want a piece of quesadilla? And I went, sure. Oh
Yeah,
my
sure.
God. I felt like crap for the
Yep.
rest of the night. I was like, why? Why do you do this to yourself? Right? Like my
Yep.
stomach, like my neighbor was like, hey, we're going into Boston for dinner. And I was like, I'm not hungry and I feel like that would be lovely, but like I feel
Yeah, like you
yeah.
swallowed a brick,
Oh, yeah.
and most people, I mean, for what your purpose is, that makes 100% sense. Like, I understand why you're doing that, and it
Yeah.
obviously alleviates the symptoms that you're having. But
But
I've
now
also
I'm
had
extra sensitive to it when I do put it in.
yes, and it's
Yeah.
like you literally swallowed a brick, but I've had clients that travel or friends that travel to Europe, it's whatever country, I'll say Italy, sure, and they've had skin issues for years. They go over there, they live like study abroad, no skin issues are gone, no stomach issues, no gluten intolerance, no dairy intolerance. It's crazy. I mean,
So your
do am I
suggestion is if you want to lose weight, just go to Italy for a couple of months.
done? Literally, I lost 5 pounds leading up to my wedding without trying, and I didn't want to because I had a dress to fit
Right, right.
perfectly into.
Yeah.
I know everyone's like, "Oh my god, what are you complaining about?" No, but like literally, my body just like tightened up, and like all the stress and inflammation was like whooshed right out of me. But yes, go to Italy for a month and you'll lose 10 pounds.
Perfect.
That's what we should all do.
Perfect. Perfect. You should do a retreat in Italy.
I wouldn't come home.
Yeah, that's then there's
It
that,
gets
right?
harder and harder every year to come
Come
home.
home.
Yeah.
I know that you talk about, the health journey is work, right?
Yes.
And it takes discipline, right?
Mhm.
So even as a coach, when people say discipline and goals to me, I instantly cringe, right?
Mhm.
Don't tell me what to do, but
Mhm.
you're not wrong, right? Like it takes work and commitment. So talk a little bit about that. And what do you think stops people from wanting to have that discipline or
I think that's a great question. So discipline is very hard to achieve, especially when it comes, in my opinion, into health and fitness. I think a lot of people find their discipline in their work, like their work ethic. They don't miss a beat. They're overachievers, and then they put their health and fitness journey as like a back burner. So I think trying to achieve discipline, it's just one of those things where it's a constant cycle of like let's do the same thing every day. I know people don't like some people don't thrive off structure like that, but it's just being consistent. Like every day start off with a 15-minute walk. Next week, do a 30-minute walk. And I think people give up on themselves because maybe they missed that one day, or maybe they got into a fight with their significant other and it just threw them off and they couldn't do it. But discipline is something that needs to be practiced over and over with consistency. It's not easy. I think that certain types of personalities and just people in general can like in tune and just like flip a switch. Like say maybe like 40% of my clients, myself included, I can just flip a switch, where the other ones were like, we really have to try and you really have to
right,
like beat it into your brain that like your health is your priority. If you don't have your health, you don't have anything. That's why I always
right.
say, like, even if I know I'm a soon to be mom and this girl's already a princess and put on the highest pedestal that will ever be,
I can only
but
imagine.
oh my God, in an Italian family, it's wild. But, like, my health comes first because if I'm not healthy, I can't provide for her. I can't take care of her. I can't
Right.
take care of my husband and, do all the things that I wanna do, and I think that once people shift into, "Oh, I need to make $700,000 a year," into, "I can still achieve these things," but also putting my health first, and like I said, the majority of people don't. They'll put a Zoom meeting on their calendar 10 times out of 10 times before they put go for a 30-minute walk.
Yeah, and I think you also have to give yourself grace, right? Like for me,
Yes.
I'm having both knees need to be replaced, but one more than the
Yep.
other. So walking isn't easy for me. But
Right.
when I had a cortisone shot a few months ago, I was feeling great. I could walk for 60 minutes and, I was a little swollen after, but now that I'm in more pain, at 30 minutes and some days it's 15. But
Yeah.
my goal is to move my body as many days a week as I can and to not beat myself up on the days that I don't, right? Because that's
Perfectly
easy
said.
to do.
It is, and like I said, something might happen in the day where it throws you off, but it's like, take a deep breath and realize that you're actively trying to achieve that. Like, you're actively trying to move, you're trying to be healthy. It's not like you're trying to throw it away, and I think, like we were mentioning before, where people just throw it away after one hiccup, and we don't need to do that. We can have grace. Things happen in our schedules and in our lives where we might get derailed, but as long as we realize, "Okay, no, like, Maybe you can't walk or ride a bike that day and you're like, I'm going to sit in the middle of the room and I'm going to stretch and I'm going to put on some really calm music. And that's going to give you just as much release that you're going to
Right.
need that day.
What would you say to somebody listening who's struggling right now, right? They're struggling, either it's their weight or they're just, being, moving their body, but it's a struggle for them and they just have tried everything.
Hmm.
And what would you, like 3 tips to get them started?
Ooh, 3 tips to get them started. I'd say take a deep breath. You're going to be fine. I've been in the exact same position where I've tried everything, including the eating disorders that I mentioned, all the way to extreme bodybuilding. You will find your way. So, tip number one, take a deep breath and realize that no matter what is going on, you will be able to achieve your goal. Number two, I'd say don't look online. Don't compare yourself to anyone on social media. Don't look at I don't know why I always use Barbara. I have one former client, she's probably like, "Why does she talk about me so much?" But don't look at Barbara who's doing jump squats, backflips, and
Right.
all the reverse lunges and think like that's what you need to do because it's a customized goal for you. You don't need to do that. So I say don't compare yourself to what you see online. And number three, let's see. I'd probably say find who in your life, whatever it is, a support system of some sorts. And I know I say that and I feel bad because maybe someone doesn't. Maybe they relate to someone on a podcast or something, but some type of support, like maybe your best friend, your mom, your father, your cousin, your sister, someone in your
Right.
life where you're like, hey, Francine, like I'm really, I'm going through it, but I'm going to try this new journey. Can I talk to you about it? And I think once you talk to one person about it, it makes it real. And like, then Francine's going to be like, oh, Amanda, how's it going? And I think that little support, whether it's one person or a whole squad, really changes lives.
And I would also add to that, choose the people that are going to build you up, not knock you down.
Yes,
Right? Not the
always.
person who's going to be like, so Amanda, do you really want that ice cream right now? Right? Because
Yes.
then that just has shame,
You don't
right?
need to
And
be
then
shamed.
then you're going to have, the hot fudge on the ice cream and all the things, right? So
Hmm.
make sure you're building somebody up who's going to eat the ice cream with you and then the next day is going to have a salad with you, right? Not
Yeah,
just
and then go to
yelling
the
at you.
gym or go for a walk around the lake or something. Yeah, I think, but a support system is extremely important.
What are some at-home activities that people can do, if they don't have access to a gym or don't want to go to
Hmm.
a gym? A lot of times if people are in that place of, I need to lose weight, they don't feel comfortable in a gym. So what
Hmm.
would you say? Because I know strength training is important. And I'm
Hmm.
just going to say from my own experience, because I used to work out a ton when I first lost weight. I was
Hmm.
cut, I was all the things. And then I met my husband and whatever. And this morning I've been walking a lot, but I haven't lifted weights. And this morning, maybe it was because I knew I was talking to you today. I was lifting weights and I was like, my poor muscles can't handle what they used to, right? Because the older we get,
Of
we have to
course.
real muscle mass, building that muscle is so important. And I know it was the first time I did it in, I don't know, 4 or 6 weeks, right? And I know
Hmm.
I'll build up to it.
Of
But
course.
what would you say to somebody who, as we get older, we need to, the importance of our building our muscle, and that doesn't really have access to all that?
Well, so firstly, especially with women in particular, it's very important to try to maintain strength, whatever it is. You want to incorporate resistance, but if you're someone that we're starting bare minimum, we don't have any weights, body weight exercises are totally fine. I only hesitate when I say do a squat or do a lunge because form is huge and I don't want anyone to get hurt. But we'll assume that the person knows the form and you can do body weight exercises at home. You can start with that. You can jog in place. You can do jumping jacks. You can do mountain climbers. You can do bicycles. All of those four things alone are something that I wouldn't, I mean, I hope no one ever gets hurt doing any of that, like trips and
Right.
falls,
Yeah.
but
Check
you
with
can
your
definitely do,
doctor, make sure
yeah,
you're
check with your
safe, all the
doctor, make sure
things.
everything,
Here's the
yeah,
disclosure.
all of that. But like you can do body weight exercises. And if you don't have weights, I mean, during COVID, I didn't have any weights to begin with. And I was putting water bottles in a backpack and doing step ups. I was doing squats with them. And honestly, in a backpack was super comfortable because you're putting weight on your body as opposed to holding it. So us women, especially if we have like sensitive hands and wrists like I do, it felt better. So you could do something
Interesting.
like that. Add resistance, put it in a backpack. Um, but do things that at home, like, and then eventually maybe you want to go work out at a gym or you don't, but then you might feel comfortable, like, oh, I'm going to go to Target and get like those 5 pound weights or those 10 pound weights. But you can always start with your body weight and work up because muscle mass is extremely important the older we get because we do lose muscle mass, we
Yeah.
lose bone density, and we want to try to reverse that. We don't want to get in that place where we become not able to work out. And I've trained women like in their 60s and their 70s where they're like, becoming more, I hate to say frail, but it's true, frail.
Right.
And then they start lifting weights and they're like, oh my God, I've never felt this way. And like, then like, because I'm hormonal, like a little tear might come out of my eye. And I'm like, oh my God, my whole heart is exploding for you. But it's super important. We don't want to
Right.
become older and not be able to move and like lift our body. So I know
Yeah.
that was a long-winded answer to you,
No, I
but
love that. I love that. Um, and do you have tips and tricks on your website? We're going to post all your information, but can they come and find things? I know you do you still do in-home stuff? You're still doing the
no,
you
I don't do any, I don't go to anyone's house anymore just because my schedule's too packed. But
okay.
as far as any tips and tricks, I don't have anything on my website, but I'm very like, if someone ever wants to send me an email or a message
You'll
on
respond.
Instagram, yeah, because we've all been to that point where we're like, I don't know who to talk to. I don't
Yeah.
know who's the person. The internet is a fuckery when you look when you look things up, like,
Right.
"You should be doing this," like, ask me. I'm not gonna give you, like, a precise plan, but I'd love
Right.
to help someone be like, "Oh, okay, Amanda said, like, some of these things can work." So I would say reach out to me personally,
Okay. How can
and
people
I'm
work
very
with you? How do you typically work with your clients now? Is it all virtual?
no, I'd say more so in-person training, online coaching, which is different, which is, like, plans and,
Yeah.
check-ins, and then virtual training is
And the
second.
in-person that is at your location in Woburn, Mass?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, and they can find all that information.
yep,
Um, what is something that you live by that you want to share with our listeners?
and, like, a life thing or fitness related?
Oh, you choose. I'm gonna let you choose.
Um, don't let anyone, including yourself, bring you down. There,
Mm,
you have one life to live, and you should live it to the fullest. I know that also sounds very cheesy, but I think a lot of people in life, especially women that I've come across, want to make everyone else happy when you are the person that needs to be happy. You need to work on yourself, and you need to cut out all the
100%.
negativity.
Yeah.
Yeah, like don't be around, like you mentioned earlier, don't be around negative people. Cut people out. It's okay. We grow out of people. And even family, we grow out of family. Cut them off. Focus on you. You should be doing what makes you happy first rather than anyone else.
Right. I love that. And, a lot of the work I do with my clients is coming into relationship with themselves, right? So
Mhm.
most of the women that I work with have this big ass up level that they're looking to do, usually in their business, but it can also be just in
Mhm.
their life. And sometimes they don't even know what that change is, but we have to like shut out all the noise of what everyone else
Mhm.
is saying and doing and like listen to this inner voice. What does this
Yes.
want? What does your heart want? What does your soul want? And then go from
Exactly.
there. So,
Exactly. And I would say it's tough to find people that also not tough, but can be difficult to find people that understand that and know, like, it's a boundary thing, right? And I don't
yeah,
think a lot of people understand other people's boundaries, or if someone says something sternly or like, this is what I'm gonna do, some people get like offended. But I think that is so huge to be able to know who you are and what you want and go forward with that.
right. And know that other people's actions and responses don't usually ever have anything to do about you. It's about their shit and
Yes,
why they're doing their
exactly.
thing. So
Exactly.
I know you have an offer that you want to make to our listeners. You want to share with them what it is that you're offering.
Yeah, la la la, free fitness phone consultation. So if you're interested in working, whether it's a virtual personal training, in-person personal training, or online coaching, I offer free 30-minute phone consultation for that. And you can reach me whether you hit contact me on my website or my email, which is also on my website, but it's contact@amandaferlisi.com.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for being here. This has been so much fun to chat. At the end of every episode, I pull some oracle. Well, I pull the cards beforehand,
Hmm.
but I have 3 cards pulled. So I have
Okay.
left,
Okay.
center, and right. I'm going to let you choose yours first.
Left. I've
Left.
never done this before, so this is
Oh,
like,
perfect. I love this. All right. I love this. So the card is, so these are from a dream oracle card. So the
ooh,
card
that's
says
pretty.
sex, kiss, and hug. And it says face and embrace all of your parts of yourself. I love,
Ooh.
so this is the left. So if the listeners chose left, that's the left. And the
Okay.
center, oftentimes I've been doing this for every podcast so far. They all have to do with like the theme. I don't look at the cards ahead of time, so it's really fun. Transit. So this is the center card. Transition.
Okay.
Release attachments to what was and prepare for what is to come. Right? And
Ooh.
how similar
Love
is
that.
that to also the process, right?
Hmm.
And the right the right card is guide. I combined card. I love this. Follow in the footprints of greatness,
That's right. Ooh,
right?
that's strong.
Right?
Yeah,
So
I
I
love
love
this.
that they all have the same theme of the conversation that we've been having here
Yep.
today. Amanda, I want to thank you so much for having this conversation with me. And for the listeners, thank you for joining me on today's journey towards a more enlightened and fulfilling life. I hope that today's episode has inspired you to enhance your inner wisdom and navigate your path with a renewed sense of purpose. And remember that transformation begins from within. Take a moment each day to connect with your higher self and trust that the universe is guiding you towards your highest good. And if you found value in today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with those who might benefit from our message. Your support helps us reach more souls on their spiritual journey. Stay connected with our community. All of the social medias, mine and Amanda's, will be in the episode notes. You can visit my website at foreverchangecoaching.com for additional resources and upcoming events. You can also receive a checklist to find out if you're ready for a big ass up level. And you can sign up for that. And it will also include some journal prompts for you to figure that out on your own. But until next time, continue to shine your light and walk in peace and love. I am Francine Tirrell. This has been Effin' Fridays with Francine and Amanda. Thank you so much for spending this Friday with me.
Thank you so much, Francine. I had a blast.
Me too.